Alright, we're here for round 3, and again we have a pretty mana heavy hand, but I think that's okay because we have a couple ponders and this dig through time. Unfortunately none of our lands are fetch lands, which does make dig worse. Oh, I'm sorry, we're on the draw. I misspoke. Still think that's okay. Basic island is, I mean, it could be a couple things. I'm going to assume that he is mono blue, Omnitel. Let's go ahead and cast Ponder. Bolt not very good. None of this is actually too exciting. We're just basically looking for Force of Will. Or I guess Cabal Therapy would also be fine. Alright, Flood a Strand. Alright, we're gonna try to resolve this Brainstorm. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. Yeah, that's what I figured might happen. So we'll go ahead and cast this Ponder. Still looking for Force. Found one. I think we don't mind drawing Deathrite. It gives us something to do next turn, but it's obviously not phenomenal. And I think that we have to keep the Ponder. Well, this could be interesting. If he just casts Show and Tell, okay. Well, I guess he's possible. I guess he's not Show and Tell. So the Deathrite Shaman is not going to do us anything. Kind of want to force this, but I don't really want to lose a dig through time. But I guess the odds of us resolving both are pretty low, and countering the Stoneforge just buys us a lot of time, which is nice. Alright, now fetch. We're going to go ahead and... He didn't Spell Pierce or anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and cast this. Since we have the mountain, I'm going to go ahead and get a second Underground Sea this time. And we're going to try to resolve this while he would have fought over the Stoneforge more than likely. So we're going to do this while he's mostly tapped out so we don't get hit by like Counterspell. I'm relatively afraid of Jace the Mind Sculptor. We could just take 2 probes and just cycle them now. Could take 2 bolts. Could take Counterspell Probe or Counterspell Bolt. Don't really want to take Deathrite. Wish we knew it was in his hand. That would be much better for us. I think I'm going to take Counterspell Bolt. Hopefully, if he plays something next turn, hopefully it dies to Lightning Bolt, and then Counterspell can take care of whatever he plays after that. Or at least that's what I hope is going to happen. If he just fetches Jace and plays it, if he Brainstorms, we're in a lot of trouble. If he ticks up, then probably still in a lot of trouble. Alright, put a card from us on the bottom. Alright, we'll just cast both these Deathrites. No reason to bolt right now. Now that he got to untap with Jace, he's probably going to Brainstorm. Goal for the next turn is to play Counterspell on whatever he plays this turn. Attack Jace for 2 and then bolt it. I think we have to counter this. Otherwise we're not going to be able to get Jace off the table. We may not be able to get Jace off the table regardless, so... Alright. Game 1 is pretty hard in this matchup if he has Jace early enough and us not have a way to stop it. Force and Snapcaster range. Alright, well, I guess we'll go ahead and make him pitch the Snapcaster range to Force of Will. If he doesn't, then we are in relatively good shape to win this game, but yeah, he goes from no cards, gets a Brainstorm, put 2 back. Stoneforge probably getting Batterskull. And we're not going to bolt yet. We're going to wait to see what we draw. Might change our mind on what we do. Alright, we're going to play True Name. Hope this resolves. I assume it will. He could have actual counterspell as his other card that we don't know of. And I want to save the Bolt to kill Jace next turn, and he's gonna get to put Batterskull into play, but I think that's okay. Since we have True Name to play defense, it's going to be a really long game. If we end up getting to kill Jace, it's going to be a long game where we have to draw into some good cards to, you know, hopefully end up winning. But all right, we're going to play around Spell Pierce and Snap Spell Pierce. But actually, we'll play Cabal Therapy first. Now he's gonna play Batterskull here off of the Stoneforge, and basically we just have to try to guess what he could potentially have in hand to stop our Lightning Bolt, since we only get one shot at it. Snapcaster Mage is an okay bet, but it doesn't actually stop what we're trying to do. It's just a good card to name. He would have cast Dig Through Time if he had it. He probably wouldn't have cast Snapcaster Mage because he doesn't get much value at the moment. So actually, I think, yeah, I mean, he would have cast basically anything in his hand other than Snapcaster Mage, I think, or maybe a second Jace. Maybe we just name Jace just in case. Yeah, I think we just named Jace just in case. Alright, click Counterspell. Ugh. So he has actual Counterspell. Alright. That stinks. Alright, I'm just going to concede this game. We're just going to waste a lot of time. Normally I would play this out, but if we had named actual Counterspell there and gotten it, then we could have potentially fought back and gotten into the game, but he was going to counter our Bolt. We could have sacrificed the True Name Nemesis to Cabal Therapy after we attack Jace, but he can always click us in response, and then if we Bolt, or no, he can't click. Yeah, I mean, we basically would have been having no board, no hand, facing down Batterskull, Stoneforge Mystic, and maybe a Vendilion Click. So it wasn't worth it as far as I'm concerned. Therapy is pretty good in this matchup since it does allow us to just mess up Stoneforge Mystic. I'm okay just turning into the grindy control deck. Not a huge fan of Fork Bolt in this matchup, even though it does kill Stoneforge Mystic. It's not really enough, I don't think. Fire Ice is obviously pretty similar. The deck Fade-In, I'm not really a huge fan of it in this matchup. You can steal Batterskull, but they still control the Germ token, which is awkward. So you can't do anything until you spend 5 mana and move the Batterskull. So it doesn't really do a whole lot. You could steal their Jite, which might be relevant, but probably not. Not relevant enough. Bring and click. We probably want a Jite of our own. That could be pretty good. I don't mind the Fire Ice, actually, the more I think about it. Being an instant speed version of Fork Bolt that can also just like tap something for a turn doesn't sound all that bad, but maybe it's just not worth having since we still have 4 bolts and 4 therapy to hopefully take care of all of their equipment. Alright, good to be on the play for game 2. The Santa's great. Turn 2 we get to go Pyromancer, Brainstorm Probe, or vice versa, and he's mulliganing a ton. Well, that kind of stinks. My hand's really good. I was hoping that we would have a good back and forth, but him mulliganing to 4 is pretty gross. Might still lose, never know. Can always hope. Plow on Deathrite. I feel like that's just going to happen a lot. Alright, well that's a really good draw, since we get to make 2 tokens immediately while he's tapped out. Assuming that this resolves, of course. He might have force. Yep, okay. Well, still going to hold on to these probes since I don't think we need to force something. Alright. I'm actually going to... Well, I guess we'll brainstorm. If we hit a Pyromancer in a land, we'd want to be able to play it. Alright, we'll put back the 2 removal spells. Since we have this counter spell, we're going to probably just probe twice. We'll look for something to play and see if we want to hold up for counterspell or not. Alright. I guess we'll just hold on to the other probe for now. Well, his 4 cards were really good. If he had just drawn a land in that last turn, he could have played Stoneforge Mystic. That would have been kind of gross. Let's ponder, try to find something good to do. Jason Mind Sculptor is great to do. We're actually going to probe this turn. That way we can draw the fetch and shuffle away the... oh, Brainstorm's pretty good. Shuffle away the land that's on top. I guess we can do that now and cast Ponder now. Look for a Dig Through Time or something. Or possibly Cabal Therapy. But he does have the Brainstorm, so... Alright, well there's 2 lands. We don't want any of that stuff. Another counterspell is great. Alright, well he didn't cast Brainstorm, which is a little weird. I feel like he'd want to be able to try to dig for a land. Alright, we're going to just resolve Jace here while he doesn't have any defenses up. Now he may draw a force and a blue card. That would be pretty bad for us if he drew land, force, blue card, because then he could go force, pitch, untap, cast Stoneforge Mystic while our shields are down. Man, that was good. And True Name Nemesis. So he has 2 unknowns between the top 2 cards of his deck and 2 cards in hand. We know 2 of the 4 cards are Plow and Stoneforge Mystic. I also know that we don't have Force of Will in our deck anymore, so there's no reason for us to Brainstorm there in response. But he didn't hit the land. Alright, just play another Jace. It's great. We hit pretty well, so we'll just put Ponder and True Name back on top, hold up for Counterspell, next turn play True Name with Counterspell back up, and I assume he's doing nothing again this turn since he was Brainstorm locked. Alright, and now the top card is unknown to him, so we're just going to plus it. We'll let him keep a force. We basically just don't want him to have land. This could have been a really good game if he had drawn a land. So one thing about Legacy is that you're never really out of it, as long as you're not actually dead. The bolt is whatever, the land is whatever. I guess we want to keep the bolt just in case, so we'll put those 2 back. Should probably keep Ponder over Brainstorm since we have Jace active. I could pay more attention to what I'm delving, but we don't have Snapcaster Mage. I basically just want to play fast and get this game over with quickly. There's not a lot of ways for him to actually come back. I know he has Plow though. It seems kind of weird that he wouldn't try to Plow the Tasigur. We're not going to activate, so we can make sure we hold up Counterspell for Tasigur. Alright, put those 2 back. Play Pyromancer. Play Ponder, get the land, shuffle away the other two. Hold up Counterspell. Attack for 7, and game should be mostly over. I don't know what could happen, but we'll just cast Counterspell to make sure. Probably should look at this top card first. Might be able to get a little more information if we see what's on top. But let's go to game 3, and I guess we can reevaluate here. The True Name Gnosis is obviously very good. He's going to have a ton of removal spells to try to interact with my young Pyromancers, Deathrite Shamans, and such. I still think Cabal Therapy is good. There were a couple spots there where it would have been awesome. Martyr's Cut's okay. It might tax our dig through times a little too much, but let's see. The Ancient Grudge, that was an oversight. We probably want this. And I guess killing his creatures is not a huge deal. We can just trim the cut for the Grudge, since we don't care about killing the Stoneforge if our Grudge is able to kill the equipment. Alright, game 3. We don't have black, but we do have Young Pyromancer and a lot of good late game cards, and if we draw some lands or like a Ponder or something like that, Brainstorm's also fine. Not sure what I'm going to do here. Guess I'll Brainstorm. I don't really want to just play Young Pyromancer and let it get plowed. If he counters this, it's not the end of the world. It's not great. Need to draw a land. Alright. Need to draw a fetch land. Getting black mana here would be pretty good. Alright, no True Name is awesome for us. It's possible we should have brought back in Force of Will on the draw. Okay, well, we're going to bolt this click. He's sitting us there in our draw step, which is fine. He's probably not going to take anything. Since there's no fetch land, he's probably not going to take click. He doesn't want to open himself up to me drawing lands and then casting Jace or something. Or even drawing a land and then Cabal Therapying named Jace. My hand is not very good. I guess there's a small chance he takes Deathrite Shaman. Yeah. Since it's kind of like having another land. If he plays Fetch Jace, he might bounce. Okay. Plow, that's not a big deal. Ponder's also fine. Chose not to shuffle, didn't play a land, so alright, well, we'll play Young Pyromancer. I really wish we had drawn a land. Spell Snare too, jeez. So here comes land Jace, or True Name. Yeah, that's bad too. Alright, Underground Sea is fine. Ponder after that's okay also. I think I just have to name Jace. Actually, let me think about this for a second. So, the last couple turns, he hasn't hit a fourth land, but he also pondered and kept the top 3. And if he had Jace in hand, he might have shuffled them away unless they were like the Spell Snare and then the True Name. It's not likely that he has a Stoneforge Mystic. There's a chance he has a Snapcaster Mage. He's already played a Vendilion Click. So it's basically Snapcaster Mage or, I guess, Snapcaster Mage, Jason the Mind Sculptor, or maybe Jite? Because if he plays Jite here, if he goes land Jite equip, which he could have kept the land third on purpose. Huh. This is pretty bad. Don't actually know what to name. Alright, I'll name Snapcaster Mage. Sweet, we hit him. So Pierce, Brainstorm, and then whatever card he's got on top. So that was a good hit. Really needed that one. So he's going to hit us for 3. We're going to have to find a Pyromancer soon to race that. I'm going to lead here with Therapy. And he's either going to Brainstorm in response or Spell Pierce it. Which, Brainstorm response seems more likely. Now, there's a chance he just puts Spell Pierce on top of his deck. But there's also a chance he leaves it in hand, hopes I don't name it, and then he's able to Spell Pierce my Ponder. He would probably, if he drew like a land and a Jace, he would probably put the Jace on top, so there's not a whole lot we can do about that. So, I'm just going to name Spell Pierce. Alright, Snare and Counterspell. Alright, well, I don't think there was a chance I was naming either of those anyway. So we have Pyroblast, another Jason, and the other Ponder. None of those really help us too much. I guess Pyroblast could help us, because then we can go dig. Yeah, we can go dig into Pyroblast to counter his Counterspell, and his Spell Snare doesn't do anything. Pyroblast also gives us protection immediately from a Jace that he was saving on top. Although, if he kept Spell Pierce, that could be bad for us. So. Oh no, I stacked it wrong. That sucks. Well, I was planning on shuffling, that's why I stacked it incorrectly. That stinks. Didn't really want that Jace, number 2. So he might be actually shuffling away the Spell Pierce. I don't know what his other card might be. Alright, we're going to dig. Going to leave one of the Cabal Therapies in the graveyard. And hopefully he shuffled what he Spell Pierce. Yeah, I didn't. So we can Pyroblast, force him to burn his Counterspell. I think that's okay. And then if we get to... Yeah, he's going to Counterspell this. Then his last card is Spell Snare. And if we draw an untap... Or no, we're drawing the Ponder. So maybe we'll draw Ponder into something good. Ponder into Fetch Land actually gives us Dig Through Time, which is nice. Alright, well, yeah, Ponder into Volcanic Island and Probe actually gives us Dig Through Time also. So, no. We'll go to 10. Basically on the same clock, which is nice. He has a Brainstorm and a Spell Snare. And yeah, we lose our Therapy, but we get to resolve Dig now, as long as he doesn't hit a Force off of his Brainstorm. Alright, we could take Click Jite. I think that's pretty reasonable considering our current situation. And we can get rid of his Spell Snare, untap, equip Jite. Alright, so play Deathrite. There's not a lot of creatures in the graveyard, basically just the Snapcaster and the Vendilion from earlier. So, but we can potentially gain some life, which is nice. Alright, so we fetched on upkeep. Alright, we're going to wait till the draw step just to have perfect information, or as perfect as we can get. We're going to take... Okay, so he's pitching Spell Snare. Alright, so that's good. So now if he attacks us for 3, we get to play and equip Jite. And then he might have to hold back, and then we get to play Jace and plus. Or he drew Nahiri. Holy crap, we're dead. Alright, let me just make sure I know what this does. So -2, put an equipment from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. But he +2s to Elspeth. -10, he gets an equipment artifact token named Stoneforge Blade. It has an indestructible, and equipped creature gets +5/+5. Huh. Alright, well, let's play Jite. And he will probably hold back next turn to protect Nahiri. Alright, well, we're not exactly in great shape here. Here he is quite good. Batterskull would have actually been worse for us, though, I think. We would have been, you know, then he could have just equipped True Name. We would basically had no outs, as opposed to a few turns to do something. No way. That's real good. So now he gets to go get Batterskull and minus Nahiri and put it into play. Or I guess he can just cast it since he got Jite instead. We're probably going to lose this match. It was a fun match though. Nahiri is pretty powerful. Alright. He just attacks for 1. Alright, well, I'll just kill it. Alright, Brainstorm. We can also gain life with... We're not attacking this turn, so I guess we can just gain life with the Deathrite, so we don't want to tap our Trop. We have a mountain open, so I guess we'll do that. Alright, don't want either of these lands right now. Get another Volcanic. He's probably not going to attack Jace. Alright, none of these cards really help us. We can potentially... He's basically just going to equip True Name with Jite and then attack. There's no reason for him to attack with these other things. Source of Plowshares. Man, that was good. Alright, I will... I guess equip... Or sorry. Activate Bolt Stoneforge. We're going to go to 4, and we have to gain 2 life with our Jite. If he kills Jace instead, I don't know. There's not a whole lot we can do. We're basically dead. This deck doesn't have an out to a Resolve True Name Nemesis for some reason. Alright, we did attack Jace, so we don't actually have to use our counter. Could have killed the core, I guess, but doesn't really matter. So we know the top card is Cabal Therapy, which doesn't do anything. even if we draw a land and an Ancient Grudge off of the Jace activation, doesn't do enough. We don't have any free spells really to get us out of this. Yeah, we're just dead. Alright, cool. Well, that was a fun match. This deck obviously has a few holes in it. I feel like with access to Dig Through Time, you should really be playing at least one card in your 75 that can kill a Resolve True Name Nemesis. It feels a little lazy. You know, I'm not trying to take anything away from Paul by saying that. I'm just, you know, in my opinion, Dig Through Time is a card that you want to utilize in every aspect, and his deck does a really good job of that by playing a bunch of one of powerful cards like Jason Mind Sculptor, Tasigur, and such. But just not having access to a way to kill Resolve True Name Nemesis just felt pretty bad. I'm not sure exactly what I would want that to be just yet. I'm sure we could figure out something, but at the moment, even just Diabolic Edict would be fine. You know, we could have had some turns there where having a Diabolic Edict would have been great. Using GTA counters to like kill off the Nahiri tokens, Bolt to kill Stoneforge Mystic, and then having Edict would have been awesome. But we'll talk about that more in the conclusion. We'll be back for the last round in just a few.